I always love the guys that I have 5-star reviews, 120 of them. I'm like, cool. You work 18 hours a day by yourself in a shop. That's awesome. You care about your customers, and I get it. Build a business. I'd rather see a 4.8 with thousands without you working in the day-to-day. That's a different game.
I'm Rich.
Now what?
Mark, what's up, buddy?
Not man, just sitting here getting it on. You know how it is.
Yeah, always, man. The last week we talked a little bit about the 7 people on a personal level that you need to have in your life as you're growing wealth and as you continue to grow wealth and as you have wealth, in order to amplify the personal side of things. Now, this week we're going to talk about the 7 people you got to have on your team on fast dial, right? Available for you at all times on the business side of things, right? These people have made a dramatic, like there's no chance I'd be able to do what I've done in business without these people in my life and in my business. And so I'm excited to dive into these and from an economic standpoint and the business and automating the business and making sure you got everything dialed in on the business side of things.
Absolutely, man. We were long-winded last week, so we'll make it a little shorter. I know everyone's busy and but again, it just made you walk on the treadmill a little longer and share it with more people, right? You had more nuggets to share with different people. Mm-hmm. So keep up the 5-star reviews, keep sharing, keep tagging Tim and I. More importantly, let us know who you got, what you got going on, who do you have in your life, incorporate in your personal. And today we're going to talk about business, and we'll add more and maybe take some away. So Tim, which one do you want to start with? We got 7.
I think the financial side of things. We're starting out with business. Let's go with the financial side of things. And in the financial side of things, I think a controller / CFO, right? Depending on where you're at, what level, it could be a finance manager, controller, CFO, but they have to understand the full landscape of your business.
Yep.
And a big critical piece of this is a lot of business owners, they track their business based on what's in the bank account, or they track their business based on net worth. And there's only one way to track business, and it's based on the P&L, right? And reviewing the profit and loss statement on a regular basis, trimming the expenses. Everybody's got 5 to 10% of fat on their expense side of things that they can trim out very easily and add to the NOI. There's different ideas and strategies, from the visionary standpoint that you and I are, of like, where's some additional ways that we can generate more money with the resources that we're already allocating. Here's what it's looked like in the past. Here's what it looks like now. Here's what the projections look like moving forward. So that way you can have a true roadmap on where you want to go.
Yep. No, man, I love it. So I actually have both. I have a fractional CFO, it wouldn't be fractional at this point. I have this whole team working for us on a lot of different projects, right? I have a lot of different companies I'm involved in. If we acquire or do another company, we always take those books in-house because most entrepreneurs truly suck at that. I know I did for many years. I still do. That's why I have people helping me do it. And then that's the only way I'll make the investments at this point, truthfully, just so I have high-level financial oversight, like you said. And then the controller. I have an amazing person on my team. She's been with me about 8 years. 8 years now. And she's managing, she sees all sides. She sees the personal side and the business side, and she's integrated in all those moving parts. The interesting thing about it, she catches stuff. I'm not even joking. Just today, I just got a text today that she saw a $29,000 and change check that was lingering around that was owed to us on a deposit on a deal or something that we did months and months and months ago. And she followed up on it, and it just got delivered today, right? So if I was handling that, I forgot about it. So I get 0 because people don't send $30,000 checks, unless you're on top of them. So I didn't even know that was going on. And that's what a controller really does. They don't really cost you money. They give you peace of mind. They are definitely, again, you got to have enough volume. Everything we're talking about, you got to have enough volume and enough activity to kind of make this make sense. But and it could be a fractional controller. All my people are not fractional. She is full-time with me for a long time. So and it takes time for them to get integrated in your business and understand how you function and understand what reports you want to see. Because I know, Tim, you mentioned net worth. A lot of people get confused on net worth, I believe. There's a lot of people worth a lot of money that can't pay their bills, but they have big net worth, right? I'm looking at net worth on gross calculation as well as cash flow net worth. What's my liquid cash net worth? That's that's different. That's drastically different, and you can move different and live different if you understand what I'm talking about. So understand your liquidity at all times. And there's cool things now with technology and Plaid and all these AI tools that we have many bank accounts, and it's like, dude, it takes a full day to go through all the bank accounts. If you had to do one by one, now they could do global polls. You can see spreadsheets like literally real time and know what's in the account today, right now. So liquidity is always good. I don't know about you, but I like to know that number, just to know it, just kind of like old school. But also I'm looking at P&Ls, all that other stuff. Also, we have lots of notes and things in movement, right? So money owed, money out, money coming in, commitments, etc. So there's a lot of stuff you have to know, and a controller will really, project it, give you feedback. Hey, we're light here, we're heavy here. Hey, do you have anything going on? Here's why I'm asking. So it's a very important component for sure.
Well, it's what you focus on expands, right? Like, dude, all I cared about from 2015 to 2022 was just growing the balance sheet, just building up as much net worth as I possibly could, getting a bunch of equity in a bunch of different deals, a bunch of different companies. And I measured this number, and it grew substantially because I focused and obsessed over it. Yeah. But I was one of those guys who had a big net worth, but I'm in real estate, and every time a dollar came in, man, I'd throw it into an equity offering, or I'd put it back into a project in order to then grow additional net worth. And got to a point where I was very cash strapped. And then all of a sudden, deals started going sideways, and the market started softening, and expenses started rising, and interest rates started hiking up. And then you don't have exit strategies, and all these adverse things happen. And you're like, damn, I should have focused a little bit more on building up the cash reserves. And so that's what I've been very focused on over the course of the past few years, even though I'm still feeding certain different deals or projects or like at all times, but then they start coming back, and I have more awareness on that. But making sure that you're measuring these things, right? If you take care of the profit and loss statement, and if you take care of your liquidity situation, guess what? Those are actually predictive indicators of how your net worth is going to look, right? Because now you got a business that's worth selling because it's run like a tight ship. Now you have an asset that's worth selling that somebody wants to pay for, and you're maintaining a higher value because it's run very, very efficiently.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's as you said, a dollar comes in. The problem with real estate, most of the time, it's $1.15 going out. You're short 15% each time. You're like, but I'm making money. No, I'm not. I'm in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's a very vicious cycle, and if you don't get your arms around it, I've seen it devastate. It's not fun. It's not fun. I've been there. It's not fun. So if you can figure out create a balanced structure of what we're talking about, it definitely will set you free. A controller helped us do a lot of that stuff. So don't over automate it where it becomes non-emotional. Like, I like to have emotion tied to these things so I can pay attention. Emotion creates motion for me on that stuff, but find out what works for you. Everyone's different, but I definitely think she's a massive asset to me, this individual in my life, and she makes way more than we invest in her every year. So, and she's cool. She's a nice lady. It's cool too. I was able to buy her a car. I think 2-3 years ago we bought her a car. She found a big discovery, and I was like, well, that's amazing. And it was worth way more than a car many times over. So I was like, how cool. I took her out, did a video. Like, I never shared it publicly. I don't even know if I ever shared it with anybody except my wife.
You told me about it, yeah.
Yeah. But we're driving in the car. I was like, which one do you want? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, yeah, it's Phil's place too. I bought it for Phil. I was like, well, one of these 3 cars, brand new cars, which one you want? She never had a new car in her life. And we were able to make that happen. But again, that's what's cool about, having this stuff, people in your life, is they're assets, not expenses.
And that's what I wanted to hit on real quick, is like, you might think, oh, I got to spend $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month on this role. First of all, they have it available in fractional pieces, right? So like, I'll give my boy David Richter a shout out. He owns a fractional CFO business that we've worked with in the past, has a great reputation, helps a lot of people in the real estate industry. He's actually co-author of Profit First for Real Estate. Really, really good dude. Really good dude. So they do fractional type stuff. So these companies absolutely exist where they can come in and meet with you once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week, like however often you need it. Obviously, the more you need it, the more it'll scale up until you get to a point where it justifies bringing it 100% in-house. So that's one part. But secondarily, you're going to see an ROI. You're going to see a return on your investment. You might think you got $5,000 a month going out the door. They will save you $30,000 on one check, on one account receivable that you didn't even remember that you had. Or they'll help you find a leak in the boat, a leak in the ship somewhere where there's $2,500 a month going out the door that, let's plug that. Dude, and now they just paid for their salary right out of the gate on those two things. And then you get them for another 11 months out of the year, helping you save money and have better future projections on finances and cash flow and all those things. So this is absolutely a positive return on your investment and somebody you got to have in your corner.
Well, just not ROI, but ROP, return of peace. You know what I mean? Like I was talking with someone recently. He hired a bookkeeper, which is drastically different than what we're talking about here. But he's like, dude, I got it for $300 a month. I'm like, okay, you're bragging about that? Because that's not something you pay cheap with. Like, dude, it doesn't cost you money to have a great person on your team that will make you way more money and give you way more peace. And like, you get literally an extra 30 hours a month back of your life. I meet once a week and I have full access. And, you know, Tim, like, and by the way, I still have a third-party company oversight with controller. They work in congruency for account checks and balances. By the way, if my controller dies, boom, they step in, and vice versa. Right? If I fire them, boom. So I think that's more for insurance structuring.
And they have E&O insurance, right, and D&O insurance. If somebody from their side steals money or misappropriates funds or anything along those lines, that could step into place. Or if they don't catch, somebody charge an Amazon package, like there's those kinds of things that are additional coverages too.
Yeah, I'm more looking at them as like, team members, right? We're all a team and we're all in it together, and it's, checks and balances, and hey, and not only that, resources. The fractional CFO company, they have 62 employees. We have one controller. So they're going to have access and insights of different things that are moving and shaking, what's working, what's not. By the way, my CFO's come to me multiple times, fractional guy, become very good friends with them over the years. And I've done multiple business deals with him that's made like real money as a collective many times over because he has inside deal flow. He has this, he has that, right? Like he's like, yo, I see what you're up to. I see how you're running your books. I see how you operate. Here's the deal I have. Here's what's going on. This is not an open market deal. This is a behind the scenes deal. By the way, if you guys don't know this is how real deals get happen all the time, right? It's like, it's never public. It's not out in the open. And it's all insider deal structuring. It's like, dude, like, I like this guy. Bring him on board. Here's how much I want. Boom, boom, boom. And they chop it up and they report back. And what's cool about that is now they're the common denominator and they orchestrated this environment and they know who they want in the deal and how to get it to the finish line because they have succession fees and they get monthly fees. Like, it's in everyone's beneficial financial interest, So it benefits us all. It's pretty cool.
Next up.
Yeah,
I would say a complete game changer for me, especially to your point before of like, if you're transacting, if you got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of activities going on, especially in the real estate industry, especially in the commercial real estate industry, an attorney has been a complete game changer for me. The amount of money I spent on legal fees to draw up contracts and purchase agreements, draw up lease agreements, navigate laws in each of these different states, right? Negotiating on purchase and sale agreements on both the buy side and the sell side, negotiating with the lenders, reviewing lenders. Hey, a big one over the past few years has been loan extension negotiations and loan modification type of conversations. That is standard operating procedure across all of these commercial real estate deals because guess what? Nobody can exit any of their real estate deals because of interest rates. We're all handcuffed by that. And so having an attorney on your staff, I remember I partnered with an attorney first, right? I had an attorney who did all my business transaction stuff, Fadi Boumitri, who's a dear friend of mine that I've known for a very long time, handled my business stuff for 7 years. And he came out to a mastermind that I held at my office, just a one-dayer. I was like, dude, you got to come out and just see the bigger picture. And he's like, dude, I could do a lot more than just legal stuff. I can probably help raise money, and I'm very influential in my communities, Lebanese, and so it's very like a tight-knit group. And he raised $600 or maybe $700,000 the following month, right, for a deal. And he saw what his value could be. And then I ended up bringing him in on a full-time basis. About 18 months later, he became my chief investment officer. Guess what? Put this guy on salary for 50, I think it was like 50 grand at the time, but he also got equity. And he took care of all the private placement memorandums, right? Starting in 2019 and onward. You know how much a PPM costs on a per deal basis? $10,000 to $15,000. And I was doing about 6 to 10 deals a year at that time. So, dude, I'm able to save somewhere between I'll call it $150,000 a year on the PPMs by having this attorney in place. And guess what? He did a lot more than just draft up the private placement memorandums. He's handling all the investor interaction. It gave our organization a lot more credibility because we have an attorney on staff, right, who has actually something to lose as he's raising money from investors, his license, right? And he's doing all sorts of other stuff, right? There's all sorts of different negotiations and things that we were saving. Like closing costs on legal fees can be tens of thousands of dollars per deal on a 100-unit apartment complex. And guess what? We only needed to pay the transaction fees to the title attorney, which was a few $1,000s, as opposed to the $25,000 of negotiation time and going back and forth on loan docs and all that stuff, because Fadi took care of all that. It was so valuable, I brought on another full-time attorney in 2021, I want to say.
Yep.
And this dude, in the first 6 months, we had a joint venture partner, ran a property into the ground. This is in 22 now, and the management company really did, and then the joint venture partner just wasn't able to get it back up and running, and we had to come to a place where the lender was all upset about it. They put us in what's it called, like forbearance, and it was like a big deal for this property, and I'd never been in that situation before, and I'm like all stressed out about it. And he's like, dude, I got it, I'm handling it. And we found a buyer comes in, and because of the forbearance stuff, there were like all these like default fees and all these things that they were trying to charge us, prepayment penalties and all this other stuff. And my attorney comes in and looks at, I think it was Fannie Mae documents. These are like standard documents. These are boilerplate for 25 years they've been in place, right? Reviewed by all these attorneys and all this stuff. He finds something in the loan documents that was singular and it should have been plural, or it was plural and it should have been whatever it was. It was like that small, and he was able to save us. And I'm paying this guy $150 grand a year, by the way. No equity, but just straight salary. Paying him $150 grand a year. He was able to knock $1.8 million off of the prepayment penalty. 1.8. So he was able to pay for his salary for the next 12 years in the first 6 months that he was on our staff. So it's like, guys, if you're doing deals and you're doing high dollar deals or high volume type transactions, an in-house legal, in-house attorney is by far one of the best investments, and I wish I would have done it even earlier than I did.
That's awesome, dude. I don't have an in-house attorney. You and I've talked about this. I use third parties because I like the big brands and the big names and all that. I think it holds a different weight. You're doing different deal structures than I am as well.
Yeah.
You got
and when we need that, we bring those names in, right?
Yeah.
My team can handle 80% of it, and then we're essentially paying 20% for their name and a little bit of advisory and interaction stuff. But yes.
Absolutely. So don't think, guys, you have to run out and get one, but you could like go find a great attorney initially, kind of what you did, Tim, and I've done, and say, hey, put me on a monthly, and then let's work against that and get comfortable spending $3 grand a month, $5 grand a month, $7 grand a month, 10 grand. It's almost like getting a jet. Like if you can't charter a jet and spend $1 million a year, you definitely should not go buy a jet because you're going to be like stressed out of your mind. So it's just like, it's a great way to enter into that thing. But if you're doing any deal volume, I just want to stop too for a second. And I think a lot of people need to hear this, because if you guys are like, Tim, you and I have lots of these different people in our life that are, doing all these things. So we're not like a mom and pop operation with one person and me and my wife, and that's all we're doing. And I'm not knocking that. It's just that's a way different game. But what I do see is a lot of these people online selling shit, and they don't have real businesses. They're doing contracts themselves. They're doing proof of funds themselves. They're going to closing by themselves. Like, they're doing everything. And listen, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. That's not a business. That's a job. disguised as a business. So you're giving these people your money to teach you how to do a job, how to create a business. If you're trying to give them money to teach you how to do a deal or a job, that's cool. But if you're trying to learn how to build a business, they don't know how. If they did, they wouldn't be doing all that. So when people come to me, I just had some person come to me, like they're trying to give me $10,000 for an hour, sit down with them, and they're a startup. The guy has a decent amount of money, but I'm like, I don't do startups. That's not I'm past that stage. I'm 30 years in the game. It's not that I'd love to have your 10 grand, but I can't serve you. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help you either, because I would gloss over the stuff that you have to do in startup phase. Right, the first 5 years are really tough. It's different. And I gave him a book to go buy. It's like $12. Ryan Moran's book, right? 12 months and $1 million kind of book. Great guy. But these are, I just want people to pay attention. Like, stop paying the wrong people, right? They don't have business and real business stuff where you can go touch it, see it, feel it, meet their team. Oh, no, I'm virtual. Okay, cool. Show me a virtual team then. They ain't got one, right? It's them doing everything behind the scenes, hoping they don't get caught. So it's the biggest pain point for me, Tim. I see it all the time, dude. Like, you and I do all this real shit. We got real stuff going on. And yet these people that are just good marketers, good liars, and selling the dream. You know what I mean? So even though you and I don't sell that anymore and we don't do that stuff, but like, it is problematic, dude. I think they're hurting a lot of good people.
Yeah, man. You got to be careful, right? Who you're taking advice from, or and by the way, guys, if you don't like everything that Mark and I say, take what you like and leave what you don't, right? But it's like, I'm always thinking about that is, one, am I taking advice from somebody, not just, hey, they're a great business person, but are there relationships there? Is there health there, right? Like, are the other aspects of life, are they pretty well-rounded? Because, I would take financial and real estate advice from Trump, but I might not take relationship advice from Donald Trump, right? Like, there's different things that I would pick and choose from different people, and understanding that. But yeah, it's especially these guys that are out there, touting that they're doing a bunch of stuff, and then you see them at the closing table driving across town to go and like get a cashier's check because they don't have a team to send a wire or anything. Like, it's like, what are we really paying attention to that? Like, that's what you think is success. That's not success. Not when you have actually real volume going on. So,
we in all seriousness, the majority, we probably have more money owed to us than these guys made in their lifetime. I'm not even
for sure,
dude. But some of these guys, it's absolutely disgusting. And I mean, I don't want to go down that path because it is. I start calling names out, but guys, 90% plus, if not 99% of people are absolutely, pulling the wool over your eyes, acting like they got it figured out. We haven't even figured out. We have ideas and we have people, but we have real businesses. We have real, and we didn't just fall off the turnip truck yesterday and come up with an idea. We have many bumps and bruises and years and grinding, and not everything's still perfect. It's a lot of work. So, but you need these types of people. Just ask anybody you're trying to hire. Ask them from last week's show, how many people in your personal life, how many people in your business life that we're talking about today? If they don't have very many, if any, you do not want to do business with them. They're not rich. They're not doing what rich people do. What we're talking about. It's not maybe a little kind of. You have to have help to be rich, to stay rich, and to grow wealth. It's the only way. There's no shortcut. And if you think you're going to get rich and not get sued, well, you ain't going to get rich. So that's
a great barometer. Do you have these people on your team? Right. That's going to tell you if they have a real business or not.
Dude, they don't even have. Ask them how much they spend on marketing. Oh, I do word of mouth. Zero. That means they have no money. They have no marketing skills. They don't understand business. If your stuff is so good, why wouldn't you be marketing it? Period. Why wouldn't you? Now, listen, if you want to create a mom and pop shop, make $300 grand a year, cool, you can get away with that. But that's a job, not a business. And by the way, if you go down, everything you care about goes away. I wake up and I work really hard for my spouse and my kids. Cool. You don't have a marketing plan. You don't have COO. You don't have control. You don't have blah, 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 blah. No, I just want to keep life simple. Well, so everything you care about when you die goes away. Everything. And you're going to do that to them? It's very wrong, dude. Mm-hmm. But attorneys, you need, by the way, estate attorneys. You better have your estate intact, right? You better have asset protection. Everyone loves AI. AI is amazing for business. Well, AI is also going to be used against you. So understand these two things exist. So you better have these things locked up. And then also you got the business, you got the personal. There's lots of types of attorneys that you want. Like if you get in trouble, who do you call? More at 2:30 in the morning. If you're not out but say you're going to the gym at 4:30 in the morning, something happens that not so good. Call your attorney. Do they answer? Right? You have to forge these relationships long term, by the way. But like, these are all things that you have to ask these people. That's the barometer. All right, Tim. So we got that.
And like I have an attorney. I have two business attorneys in house, but they know enough about the other ones where they can at least direct me to estate planning. They can direct me to somebody who specializes in any of these other niches. And so having a general attorney on staff or on retainer is absolutely I'm telling you guys, it's a game changer. I wish I would have done it way sooner. That's a really powerful one.
That's a good one, man. So tax advisor. Let's talk about that one real quick, right?
Now, is this a CPA or a tax advisor? Could it be the same person? Are they different people? What are your thoughts on this?
It's definitely different people, right? Your CPA is a CPA, a certified public accountant. The tax advisor is going to be someone very high level that understands tax code and tax law, how to move. This is all they do, right? They're focused on that. They're working with entrepreneurial people, high net worth people, mitigating, minimizing, moving, not avoiding. By the way, you're not like not paying taxes. Not that. It's just you're utilizing the tax code in your benefit, right? So if you're selling something, if you die and you're placing this much here in this estate and blah, like. They would understand how to orchestrate these things. By the way, 99% of this stuff has to be done before the event happens, right? Actually, 100% of the shit mostly. So, if you're getting ready to exit a company in a year, 2 years, you probably should start working with a tax advisor on setting up the structuring of that exit so you can minimize. I know some guy sold a company for $75 million, paid over $30 million in taxes. He did not do anything I'm talking about. And he hired his bookkeeper and CPA to help him that have no clue about what they're talking about at all. And that's wrong. It's theft at the highest level, but he allowed it. You know what I mean? So you better be proactive on this. Everyone talks about working hard to make money. I always think about how hard we work to make money. We spend 100% of our time on it, right? Like when we're in business to make money. How much, if you realize you're in the 30 to 50% tax category, how much time are you spending? Like literally every dollar comes in, you're going to give 30 to 50 cents up. How much time are you spending with a tax advisor to keep that money? Even if you spend 10% to get a 30 to 50% lift in revenue, cash in your pocket. It's all profit in your pocket. And they're not doing it. They avoid it. Why? Because they don't understand the language. They don't understand that. That's why you hire amazing tax advisors. Tax advisors, you literally, every dollar you give them, they will save you many times over. That's their job. That's how they get paid, right? So if it's not a 10x savings for every dollar you give them, they're not doing their job. And I've seen, Tim, we know people that saved millions and millions of dollars. By the way, not just saved, they put it in an amazing environment that grows and it will create generational wealth, not one or two generations, multi-generations of wealth because they used an individual that understands the game.
And there's some really creative, cool stuff out there. I would say most CPAs have no idea about it, right?
Zero.
We've worked with a lot of other people's CPAs, and most of them are just taking numbers from this sheet, putting them on this sheet, sending it to the IRS. There's no strategy behind it. There's no proactiveness behind it. I would say this though, a lot of the, about half maybe, of the tax advisors that I know have some sort of an affiliation with a CPA firm, or they have internal tax filing abilities where they could do your tax returns and all that kind of stuff too.
You talking tax advisor? The tax advisor?
Yeah.
Yeah, they always do. Here, listen, so obviously I'm an investor in a tax advising company. Like I'm telling you right now, the large majority of CPAs, first of all, they work for the government. They don't work for you. Their fiduciary duties to the government, not you. You're paying them to do that. But secondly, what's in the benefit for them to work really hard to save you money? They still get paid the same. They're not even, it doesn't do anything for them. If anything, they don't want to do it because they don't want you telling your cousin that uses them too, now they got to work twice as hard for the same money. It's not in sync. So a lot of the tax advisor companies that actually get it, the CPAs that get it, they bring them on board because someone needs to take over those books. This guy I'm talking about that gave over $30 million of taxes, it was his dad's CPA. His dad's CPA. This guy's in his 70s. He's so far outdated and out of whack. He has zero clue, zero deduction, like did nothing beneficial for his client at all. But yeah, and then they bring them on board, and then they find like you need people like this on your team that are not aggressive but smart and use the code.
How often are you meeting with your tax advisors?
Well, it depends on your volume too, right? Like I would meet bare bones once a month, right? We forget we're all doing busy moves. By the way, moves matter, right? If I have a big deal, let's say not big, but let's say if I'm doing a $5 million deal, and it's like I'm not even thinking about it, I'm just kind of, oh yeah, tell me, let's swap a deal. Well, that might mess up something that this guy set up or gal set up for me right behind the scenes. So that was my biggest challenge in the beginning, Tim, is not folding people in. You know that because we've done deals together. Like I have to fold them in. I forget. You and I are striking deals or other people, and I'm just like, oh my God. Or if I'm buying a business, or if I'm shutting one down, or if this is happening, like you have to know, you have to bring them in because they're articulating it. By the way, this includes your asset attorney. This includes your CFO, your controller. Like all these people have to get folded in on decisions. I'm not making decisions. I'm making the ultimate decision, but I have to bring them in to understand if this decision has a tax consequence, good or bad, right? What is the consequence of the decision? And I have to make an educated decision based off the data that I get at that moment. So if I'm doing a lot of deal flow, dude, I'm meeting every Thursday at 10 a.m., right? We have a set meeting at 10 a.m. every Thursday. And it gets kicked sometimes if nothing's going on. But keep in mind, too, they're inside of the books. They know what's going on. So they go, what's going on here? Why didn't you tell us about this? Oh, shit, you messed this up. I'm like, forgot. But, guys like us, dude, we're doing so many things, we don't even know we're doing it.
I would say that I meet with ours probably on a quarterly basis, but dude, they're on phone call or email chains with me multiple times a week. So like they know what's happening, but on a formal global visionary type meeting, like let's go through everything, probably on a quarterly basis is how often we meet.
It's more not like go over everything, but if you're selling a deal today and you're not meeting for another 60 days, that could be problematic unless they're communicating via email that you're meeting via email.
Yeah, I guess a lot of my stuff's just kind of it's real estate transaction stuff, right? So I might be, as you know, we're working on a $44 million exit on a property right now that you're part of, right? And so $44 million, it's a big deal. That is a massive. Could be somebody's like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine one day do a $44 million exit. That's awesome. First of all, we're not netting $44 million, right? There's debt, there's investors.
I am, you're not. I am, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. But secondarily, it's like, I've transacted on this stuff before. I've done $4 million deals, and I know what the profit's going to be. I know how it needs to be reallocated. I know like the depreciation recapture and all those kinds of things. And my team knows that too. So it's like, I don't know. I guess I've been doing these transactions for long enough on the real estate side where it doesn't create a big. But if we were going to exit the software, if we were going to exit one of the other businesses and sell those for a big windfall, absolutely, I'd be looping them in on everything. So
yeah, this comes back to deal volume though, Tim. Like again, you're staying singular inside of the real estate category, so you have absorption on the back end with recapture and all that. So it's not going to be as problematic. But if I'm like a business owner and I'm selling my only business for $75 million and I have literally, that's it, like you better have some amazing tax organization.
Yeah, 3 times a week leading up to that sale, right? For 6 months beforehand, right? Like you got to be knowing exactly what needs to happen. Because it's hard. Once the sale occurs, dude, you can't go back, right? And it can seriously constrain your options once the sale has already occurred. You can do a lot of stuff preemptively, and it like infinitely more options on what you can do in order to reduce and mitigate your tax liability.
Just think about this, because it's not just $30 million. This is what I tried to explain to him. He's only 36 years old. I'm like, dude, you have 2 kids. You're 36 years old. Let's say you save 20. It's $20 million now that you have in your bank account. What is that worth when you're 70? Right? If you just do every 8 years, it doubles. This becomes real money, dude. This is 9 figures that you, by the way, you just gave away. Do you think the government's going to do better with that money or you? Like my family, my kids' kids, but forget about the charities you can impact, the people's lives you can impact, the freedoms you can give yourself. Like, yes, he already has the other million, but dude, why give it away? Like you worked this hard. This is like a big deal, and so it's not 20 million, it's $100+ millions of dollars. Actually, it's way more than that. You know what I mean? What's 36 to 70? What is that? 30? How many years is that?
Not
34?
34 years.
Yeah. So but I'm using 8
So
years.
it would double 4 times.
I know. What is that?
20 turns to 40, 40
80,
turns to 80,
160,
80 turns to 160, 160 turns to 320.
So it's not 20 million, it's $320 million. And that's if he dies at 70. And he's not, because he's going to live to 100, right? So think about the amount of money you're giving away to these damn CPAs, because they do not, yes, you think they work for you. They work for the government, dude. They're fiduciaries to the government, not you, IRS. And I'm not knocking, listen, we work really hard. We do the right, like we spend a lot of money in the right people, like invest in good quality people is what I'm saying. And don't avoid, pay, but do it with good people. So
100%, man. That's a really, really important one. Dude, I would say that's probably the most important person that doesn't work on my team on a full-time basis, right? Like not on a W-2 employee. Probably the most important person to my business life that's not a W-2 employee on my team.
Yeah, you spend all this time making it. You probably should spend a little bit of time trying to figure out how to preserve it and protect it and keep as much as you can. So we got that. I mean, it kind of carries over into insurance, right? Insurance.
Talk about them. Let's talk about protection, right? On the insurance side of things, I would say this isn't somebody that you would have on your team internally working for you, but it's somebody that you should be having conversations with on a regular basis. This is a very, very important aspect of your financial position for your company. Talk a little bit about how you use your attorneys or how you use your insurance brokers right now.
Well, real quick, if you want to know if you have a good insurance person or not, when shit hits the fan, you're going to know. It's typically when everyone knows that they didn't have the right person on the team.
Remember that when you and I first met, dude, one of my apartment buildings burned down, a 31 unit apartment complex. Yep. And it's a 100+ year old apartment complex in Cleveland, Ohio. And it was like the crown jewel of my portfolio. And I bought it 6 months later. Dude, the tenant lit it on fire. One of the guys who hadn't paid in a decade or whatever. He's like, "Who the hell are you? You're a new landlord. Watch this!" And he just burned the whole building down to the shell. But it didn't burn. It didn't like implode. And so I had to rebuild it. And our insurance guy at the time, right, no longer our insurance guy, got us a policy on a 100-year-old building that had a policy that the code upgrades capped out at $10,000 on that building. Dude, and it was like it should have been a $3 million payout, and it was 10 grand he got us on this. And it turned into a big issue. It was a big E&O claim and against him, and had a big settlement and all this other stuff, man. But that is the cost of that's a minor cost of having the wrong insurance guy in place.
Yeah, listen, it's real. I mean, so I have two insurance people, right? I have life and health, and also, like a global, like a guy that oversees everything. And I'm actually forging a deeper relationship with a guy right now that's inside of my DM ecosystem. And by the way, there's all insurance agents are not created equal. They act like they're your best friends and they're just milking you. So I actually just had a big deal, an experience too. I had a guy that was like quoting out some assets I was buying and some I had in existence, and some paths got crossed. The guy wouldn't release it, so I had to wait 10 days. And like literally by the guy not being cool, the insurance agent, he lost all my business, not just one deal. Losing, he lost them all. And I'm like, dude, like that's so dumb, so small-minded. Like I'll send you more deals. It's just paths crossed. I want to hook this guy up. I want to keep you hooked up. And he was like, played hardball. I was like, cool. Called your bluff. I called your hand, right? So, getting someone that understands the whole holistic approach. What's your umbrella policy? What types of businesses are you in, right? Because I'm in a telehealth type of business, so there's a lot of HIPAA compliance, data breaching, stuff like that. Any websites you have, any information you're collecting could be exposed. I know, Tim, with your company, it's important data, right? Especially if you're storing, bank information, tenant information. Like this is all stuff that we have to worry about. So cyber attacks. When they come in, if something bad happens, right, like they're going to pay and help you. So just making sure you have all these pieces. And if you get in a car wreck, by the way, this is why an estate and asset attorneys are good, because who owns your car? How is it titled? if you have debt, how's it debted? Like there's all these different things you need to understand. And then, by the way, that your insurance guy needs to understand this as well, so they could protect you as a whole, right? Because, by the way, it might not even be you; it might be your kid. What if my son goes at 17 years old, he's in a car and he drives and kills someone, for heavens forbid, or hurts someone really bad, and I'm on the title and I'm on the insurance? Well, they're not suing my son. Well, they will, but he has nothing to give. They're going to sue me, right? I don't own it. I don't own all that stuff. Like, I don't own anything, the way it's designed. So that's proper setup. But your insurance guy and gal need to be on board with that. Dude, we know a guy, his wife rear-ended someone, very minor. The guy was out laughing with her, blah, blah. They snagged $1 million from him. And if he didn't have a policy on top of it, like an umbrella, because insurance companies will fight for you, dude, they were paying more. Like the other insurance company, the guy got $1 million for getting hit going like 12 miles per hour. Said he could never work again in his life. And they paid it, right? And they were going after him for more. So these are things you got to worry about. Yeah. But again, it's like, back to spend all this time making money. Well, how do you protect what you're making? How much, literally your percentage, Tim, you were talking about that last week, like 15 minutes a day, what do I do with my time? Well, out of your schedule, you probably should spend an hour a week on preserving the much cash as you can and protecting what you build. Maybe just spend an hour a week. Just start there. That's like nothing.
Yeah, and it's not difficult stuff. It's making sure that you have a catastrophe plan in place, right? Like, this is a one-page document you can give to your spouse.
Yep.
It says, here's all the accounts. Here's who to call to gain access to these accounts, right? Here's their phone number, their email address. Here's the account number. Here's how much money's in it, or here's like what it would pay out. Or like making sure your accounts are all have like some sort of beneficial interest, right? Like if I pass away, instead of going through the probate system and even having a will and all that stuff in place, still has to go through a process versus just adding my wife to all these different accounts. She has instantaneous access to the money without it ever being locked up or frozen or anything along those lines. So there's certain things that you can do and should have done in place that don't take too much time, that aren't difficult. It's like on the setup of a new account anyways, or you can just shoot an email or a message over to your insurance person. They can make sure, like I have an insurance policy. My wife is the beneficial interest, right? And then it didn't have, I noticed on a review that it didn't have my kids as a secondary beneficiary, right? And so I obviously in that scenario, if Kate and I are going to Europe together and we're going to hang out and do a week in Lake Como, and the plane goes down, dude, now my kids have to go through a whole bunch of estate stuff in order to then gain access to that insurance policy,
Exactly.
right? When they could have just been labeled as secondary beneficiary. That's an easy thing that can really save a lot of heartache for your family in the future. So,
Sure.
But you need to be talking and asking these questions, right? How often do you get with your insurance guys?
Well, dude, again, it's all deal volume and stuff like that, but we're definitely doing a quarterly review and increasing policies on different environments. I buy a lot of cars too, so communicate with them on that and selling stuff or whatever. I think here's a very, very, very big tip, and I wish I knew what I'm saying here. This sounds like it costs money, and it does cost money, but it's a great investment. Bring everyone to the party. Bring your CFO, controller, financial advisor, fiduciary, your insurance person, your tax. Bring them all together on a call and let them hash it out. I'm the dumbest guy in that room by far, 100 times over. Here's where I'm at. Everyone's there because of me, and their job is to figure out and solve the problem of what we're trying to solve, right? Is Mark collateralized? Is he protected? Is this happened? Like scenario case. By the way, this could take 2 to 4 hours, depending how big or small you are, maybe longer. And you need to stress test that system at least once a year, bare bones once a year,
Yep.
right? And if you're doing high volume and big revenue, like big stuff, like probably should be doing it more, because they're going to like poke holes in it. Like, hey, the estate piece is not set up right. Hey, you're actually outside of the parameters for this and this. We got to restructure that. Hey, you should look into this. And then, by the way, it's not like Mark do this, Mark do that, Mark do that. It's more like, hey, Steve, you got that? Hey, Michael, you got that? Hey, Steph, you got cool. You guys get together. I'm on board. Copy me if you need me. If you don't need me, make it happen. We good? We good? Clear, next, go. Right? As opposed to me, hey, Tim, what's going on, man? How's my insurance policy? Cool. Me trying to relay that back to my estate guy, relay it back to Michael. And by the way, I spend way more than 4 hours doing that, and I know what the hell I'm saying, right? So it's all out of context. It's fragmented now, and more importantly, it's all me now. everyone's pointing at me. I'm the bottleneck. We're really good at that, doing that as entrepreneurs, by the way.
Yep.
So I just started putting everyone on a call, big Zoom, and just let them talk. I talk maybe 4%.
Love that. No, I think that's a super impactful, super powerful thing to do. At least, I mean, everybody standard across the board should be doing it at least once a year before the end of the year. Probably 2 to 4 times a year. Get the whole team together. Have the high level strategy with your insurance, with your attorney, with your CFO or your controller, and putting all these people in place to make sure that everybody knows where everything is, all the moving parts, all the sales, all the acquisitions, making sure everything's taken care of before you have to be in reactionary mode, right? Reactionary mode really limits your options.
Yeah, well, dude, you're toast.
Dude, the insurance piece is so important because obviously, dude, we spend millions of dollars a year on insurance premiums for our own properties, and with smart management, that's one of the things that we have. We have a master policy where we're welcoming people or inviting them on to our master policy, able to save them a bunch of money, and it created an opportunity for us where it's like, dude, I went to my insurance guy, who's been in business he bought it from. His dad started it. He bought it from his dad, like very, very sharp. He worked for a huge firm in Chicago, came back to Ohio, took over and like quadrupled or 5 times the business revenue, bought out his dad and his dad's partner. Now he owns it. I said, hey, man, I'm going to send you a lot of business. You obviously know what you're doing. We've known each other for over 20 years, and I want to be partners, right? And so like we're going to create a joint venture, and we're like going down this path. And it opens up like my eyes to all the different types of insurance that I didn't even like really pay attention to before, but really I'm understanding the nuances, the ins and the outs of it, and where it makes sense. But the insurance side, man, is it's one of those things that you hope you never need, and then when you need it, man, you desperately need it, and you're so thankful that you had it. So.
By the time we're talking about liability insurance right now, but there's a whole other sets of insurance class as well, right? Like life insurance, actually death insurance, not life insurance, but death insurance. And then why are you buying it? What's the purpose of it? Is IUL, whole life, term?
Yeah, the investment side.
And, I mean, I could go on, but I'm not doing that here because I've been doing lots of policies for many years with myself and my family, but like there's different reasons to do different policies, and it's really hard for a real estate guy to do. I got to make 27% on my money. Why would I do it for 3? Like whatever, because there's tax-free environment. There's so many cool strategies, and we're going to have to get an insurance individual on here maybe that we trust, know, and like, that understands some of this stuff at a deeper level and just grill them. But I know we're running long here, so.
Well, dude, that's what I was going. I have it marked down in my notes, Mark. Is that like every single one of these people we need to bring onto this podcast and just do an episode with each one of these individuals and grill them with questions. Why would you do that? Why would anybody do this way versus that way? Or what are the benefits? What's the smoke and mirrors? What are the hidden things that nobody talks about in this industry or in this space? So we'll absolutely do that on the insurance side. Let's keep rocking and rolling. What about the next one?
Right. So we have, one thing I want to say too, private banker. We didn't talk about that, but everyone here should have a private banker. And we, for obvious reasons, they're direct access, 24/7. I mean, it's an amazing person to have in your life. Social media, right? Social media and marketing, Tim, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of a thing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think obviously, man, you and I understand the value of building a personal brand. It's probably a little bit more difficult now with all the noise and fake content out there, although it could actually be easier. If you're authentic, if you're genuine, if you're speaking from the heart, if you have rough, unedited content, guess what? You might actually stand out more and get a better following because of your authenticity and realness in such a fake, phony, modified world that we live in now. But I'm telling you, like, building a brand, a personal brand, through social media, through email marketing, is one of the. It takes work, but it's a relatively low cost, other than the team you have to hire and stuff like that. But there's very few things that are better marketing mediums than being able to build a relationship with people on a basis that you never actually have to go out and meet face to face, right? You create evergreen content, one-to-many type content, this exponential factor and reach that you have. Where I remember speaking on stage, I flew out to LA dude, just talk in front of 100 people, and it took 2 days out of my life, right? I stayed in a crappy hotel, or not a crappy hotel, but it was like, connected to the conference center. I took a tram from the conference center to the airport. I never got to see anything in LA. I never got to see anything cool. It was nice and everything, but I talked to in front of 100 people, and it took me away from my family for 48 hours, 2 full days of my life.
Yeah.
I could do a social media post and get in front of 2,000 people, right, with a single post or a single Facebook Live, and that doesn't go viral, right? So it's like it's such a more efficient way to build a brand and connect with people. And I couldn't tell you how many times people have reached out to me saying, hey, man, I just exited my business. I just had a big windfall of cash. I want to put $500,000 with you. And I'm like, dude, we've never talked before. Who are you? They're like, no, I've been following you for 8 years. I've watched your journey, super inspiring. You're a good dude. You prioritize family and relationships, and I feel good about writing you a check for $500K to invest my money. And it's like, it's insane. Show me another marketing medium that can do that. It's such a powerful tool, and it goes back to, dude, are you going to do more business or less business if more people know who you are? Right? You've asked me that question early on. I was like, you can do more business. So might as well invest in the social media side of things to make an impact in people's lives and so people know who you are.
Yeah, and it's not just use it for your own benefit. It's use it for other people's benefits. Like we talked about the charitable organizations. What if I find a charity or something that I really enjoy? Maybe my kid's selling cookies or something. Who knows? I could literally do a post and make an impact, a massive ripple effect. And we've done this, Tim, behind the scenes, right? Like where we've raised tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars actually via social media. Just like, yo, here's what's going on. Here's the support. Here's what we're going to do. And the community rallies together and does it. So use social as a tool. It is simply a great tool, and it's one to many, and it's amazing, man. I've been around pre-social, so I understand. A lot of people take it for granted now because it's so darn easy to do. Good stuff. I know marketing, Tim. Kind of the same thing, right? How do you get eyeballs, right?
I would say all things personal branding, marketing. Like we had public relations as a separate individual. And I guess it could be, but I would almost package those because I really like your private banker. I think that's an underutilized, underspoken. Like, dude, without having to go into the bank to send a wire, not having to go into bank to sign documents to create a new bank account for a new entity that you just created, with like having that private banker in place, giving you an extra kicker on top of what the open, publicly promoted rate is for money markets or CD accounts or like whatever, like however you're moving your money around, like that is a very underutilized resource. You've been using it for a long time. The bank that I utilize doesn't exactly have that, but I have like a business banker who pretty much does all those things for me, and makes life so much easier. Like it's just, again, it's buying back time, and so I like that as one of these people that we haven't really we didn't plan on. And I would take the social media, the marketing, and the public relations, and maybe group that into one or two people that you need. I think the public relations side of things, we utilize a firm for our stuff on both the business and my personal brand. And it's kind of like Google reviews, dude. Like if you got some good stuff going on, you got a new acquisition of a property, a new acquisition of a business, you hired or brought on a C-level executive, you could put a press release out there and have all these really positive, really good articles out there. And I think about this from a standpoint of like, it's almost like Google reviews. You have 100 5-star Google reviews. If there's something negative that happens in business or you get sued, which inevitably is going to happen because you have a lot of activity going on, you have a real business,
Yep.
and you're going to have a negative piece of content that comes out, dude, it gets muted by the 100 positive pieces of content, right?
Yep.
And doing this, you and I were talking about this offline, but doing this not only for yourself and for your business, but also for your family, right? Like what happens at 17 years old, your kid goes out, gets a DUI, right? Does something stupid, gets arrested for toilet papering houses, and now that's on their personal, Google search or.
Everyone does. Everyone goes to Google and searches your name. That's what everyone does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are they doing, right? Like, we get offers all the time on our properties, and I tell my dispositions team, I was like, great, you got a bio? Yeah, we have a bio. Did you Google their name, right? Google their name, and it's scam. This guy's not worth spending your time with. I was like,
Out.
negate that offer, right? Throw that one aside. Let's go find somebody qualified, because obviously there's a lot of people saying negative things about whoever this buyer is because they don't transact and they're just a time waster. How do you make sure that that doesn't happen to you? One, you have good business practices, but two, having the PR and the personal brand and all those things, so that way you can bring to light all the positive things that you're doing, I think makes a big difference.
It does, man. And for every one negative thing, you need about 100 plus positive, because the negatives get amplified because people love negativity. It's the way it is. And if you have real business with real employees, you're going to get negative reviews. I always love the guys like, I have 5-star reviews, 120 of them. I'm like, cool. You work 18 hours a day by yourself in a shop. That's awesome. You care about your customers, and I get it. Build a business. I'd rather see a 4.8 with thousands without you working in the day-to-day. That's a different game, right?
Yep.
So, like you said, what you focus on matters. Cool. Last one, Tim. Real estate, right? Commercial, residential. You know, we have personal residences, commercial real estate, blah, blah, blah. Always having our, for us, guys like us always have our ear to the grind on kind of like what's working, what's not. People that need help financially on a deal just to get out, liquidate, move on. And or, I like to, dude, I don't know about you. I personally look at real estate for fun.
All the time.
Yeah,
Dude, literally every single day.
Yeah.
Putting the
It's
kids
like
to
a-
bed. Hey guys. All right. Yeah. And they fall asleep. I'll go sit on the couch because they don't want me to go and to the other level of the house and until they fall asleep. And dude, I just jump on Zillow or LoopNet or Crexy and just search deals all the time. I love it.
Yeah, dude, I've done it for 2 hours today. I'm not even joking. Like, it's fun for me. Like, people are doom scrolling. I'm deal looking.
Yep.
I just bought a house on Saturday. I'm looking Saturday evening. Like, what else is out there? What's it look like? How can we do it? Like, it's just enjoyable. Like, what's the market doing? How's it? It's just a passion piece. So, but I do think everyone should have someone like that in their corner for sure.
I think for me, it's twofold. I need two real estate experts at all times, one of which is the deal finder, seller, marketer, off market, on market, just has the connections, can make things happen, right? Like you recently bought a house and you're selling your house. It was an off market deal, easy transaction, brought it to you first, knew that you were in the marketplace, you were top of mind. Like that's a powerful person to have in your corner. I have someone like that here in Charleston. One of my good buddies, Caleb Pearson, right? He is like not just he owns a residential brokerage that transacts, dude, tens and tens of millions of dollars. I think they hit $100 million in the first 4 months or something of that they transacted so far this year. So like they're doing a ton of volume. They got their ear to the ground on everything that's going on. But he's also an investor. He also owns 300 or 400 apartments and flips a lot of stuff. And like, so he's active and thinks the way that I think, looking for deals, knows the finance game, knows how to deal structure, knows what moves the needle, which levers and all that kind of stuff to pull with certain sellers or buyers. And like I fully have 100% like that's an amazing person to have in your corner. The other person secondarily on the real estate side is the mortgage side. I think the financiers of real estate. I was texting with two of my guys, three of my guys over the past 24 hours on different deals, structures, not just on how to acquire, but also how to refinance, and also how to package up a deal I'm selling to make it no money out of pocket for the buyer, right? Like we're selling some townhouses down in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia area. We were going to sell it to an investor for about $30 million. And then I realized, you know what? There's already condo converted. I could just sell these townhomes to the tenants. And I could sell them and make it net around $38 million instead. We'll make a substantially larger margin on this thing. And I talked to the mortgage broker, and he goes, dude, in that area, I know that there's a grant and this and that and all this other stuff. I can bring the 3% down from a grant that's a forgivable loan from the government that they don't have to ever repay. They have no money out of pocket. We can sell these things, transact on it. He gets paid his mortgage brokerage fee. I get to sell it for a premium. And guess what? That never would have happened if I didn't have that guy in my corner talking, strategizing about the real estate side of things. And real estate, even if you're not a real estate person, this is somebody that needs to be in your corner because real estate is typically going to be one of the largest transactions that you make. Whether it's a primary, a secondary, vacation home, investment properties, doesn't matter. Like this is a big, big thing that you're going to be transacting on multiple times in your lifetime that you got to have these people in your corner.
Dude, it's a huge thing, not just for you, but for the people you care about, right? Your kids, your parents, they're going to sell their house, or your grandparents, or your cousins, or Like just again, back to being resourceful. You better know what's going on and understanding financing. By the way, Tim's like learning about financing, not for just him, but like for everybody, including the buyer, people that don't know what we know, right? So having access to this and having these types of conversations, again, we become valuable. How? We're not smarter. We just have access to the smarter people that share that information with us, and we waterfall it down, and everyone wins. 30 million or 38 million, which one do you want? Well, okay, it's a choice. But you don't even know 38 million exists unless you have a conversation, they poke holes in it and conversate. And, again, it's like we're not trying to be right. We're just trying to do what's the best for the big picture, So I love it, Tim. I think that's a great plug-in on the end. So, man, I think this is absolutely huge. I hope you guys got tons and tons of value. I actually got to get back to my real business over here, Tim.
Thank you guys for being here. If there's anybody you guys think should be on this list that we might not have talked about, shoot us a message. We'd love to either add them or have a discussion about them on a future podcast. And also, we will get each of these experts on, and we're going to go dive deep and get very granular on each one of these different topics and how it can positively impact your business and things to watch out for, pitfalls, secrets, all that kind of stuff for people who have made some money, built a business, you got something tangible, you might be looking to exit. It'll make your business more sellable in the future and or put better protections in place for your family as you continue to grow and develop long-term wealth. So appreciate you guys being here. Please give us a 5-star review or a like and share your comments. We love hearing from you guys. We love seeing what you're talking about, what's on your mind. I'd love any other ideas, topics that you want to hear us talking about. Mark and I are here trying to pay it forward, lessons that we've learned in life to make your journey even easier and try to expedite the timelines for you. These are critical path items that have made a big difference in our businesses and helped us really, really move forward in a big way. So love hearing from you guys. Share this with anybody else who would get great value out of it. Mark, any closing thoughts?
No, man, just keep kicking butt, start building the team, stay consistent with it, and shoot everyone on your team now a quick video. Let them know you appreciate them and you're excited to keep growing with them. Just let them know you're thinking about them. So, no, man, that's it. Leave a 5-star review, and let's go. Appreciate you, Tim. Thank you, guys.
Mark, thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys next week. And I'm Rich.
Now what? Let's go.